Namaste Gurukulians, this is Pankil, teaching English, and today I am here to continue with the topic No Room for a Leopard. Okay, in the previous video we have done a little part of this chapter. Now we will be continuing with the same. Alright, so where were we? We are going to start from here. Okay, yes. I looked up to see an orange gold leopard poised on a rock about 20 feet above me. Now what happened in the last scene which we have discussed in the prior video, they were langurs who were sitting on the branches of oak tree. Yes, they were sitting there and they were chattering. They were making a different kind of large sound, and with this chattering they were just giving a signal. They were giving a signal to the narrator that something somewhere is wrong nearby. Okay, why the langurs were chattering? Because they might have seen anything which is quite harmful to them also, as well as to the narrator also. That might be the sight of a leopard. Okay, now in the next lines, I looked up to see an orange gold leopard poised on a rock about 20 feet above me. Now you all know that there was a hill and there was a forest in the bottom of the hill. Now what the narrator says, he says that the narrator, that I just looked up at the hill, and which is quite the 20 feet above the head of the narrator. And what did he see? He saw an orange gold colored leopard who was standing over the hill. Okay, what do you mean by poised on a rock? That means the leopard was quite in a balanced state. Okay, he was poised means balanced. Okay, he was he was standing quite in a quite balanced way. Okay, he was not moving here and there. All right, so and it heads yes, it was not looking towards me, but had its head thrust attentively forward in the direction of the ravine. Ravine, you know, it means a deep valley or a gorge. All right, so what the narrator is saying, he is saying that the leopard was not looking towards the narrator. Okay, he was facing towards the ravine. Okay, towards that deep valley. Okay, now what do you mean by thrust attentively? That means pushed. Thrust means push. Okay, so its head, the leopard's head was pushed in the direction of the ravine. He was facing the deep valley. Okay, now in the next line, it must have sensed my presence because it slowly turned its head and looked down at me. Now the narrator is saying that the leopard might have sensed my presence. He might have just smelled it, that somebody strange is somebody who is very strange to the leopard, who that person is nearby the leopard. Okay, what else? It must have sensed my presence because it slowly turned its head and looked down at me. Why the narrator thought that the leopard might have sensed something? Because the leopard suddenly looked down at the narrator. Okay, so that's why the narrator is saying that he might have just thought that the leopard might have thought that somebody strange is standing nearby the leopard. Okay, now in the next line, then to give myself courage, I clapped my hands sharply. Now the narrator is saying that to give himself courage. So what did the narrator do? He just started clapping his hands. Alright. Why? Because the narrator was also very much frightened at the sight of leopard. Everybody would be frightened. Yes, you also would be frightened while seeing a leopard. Yes. So the same was the case with the narrator. He was quite frightened at the sight of the leopard. So he started clapping his hands out of the he started clapping his hands so as to just beat his nervousness. Okay, he was quite nervous on seeing the leopard. Okay. Now in the next line, the leopard sprang away into the thickets, making absolutely no sound. Now what happens next? The leopard, on seeing the narrator, as the narrator was clapping, yes, so on seeing the narrator, we use it for animals, okay, animals and bird, we do not use he or she. So on the sight of narrator, what the leopard did, it just moved away quickly, it just jumped away quickly from that place. And what did he do then next? He just he just got yes, what he did do, making absolutely no sound, he sprang away into the thickets. Now he jumped, what the leopard did, it just jumped into the thickets. What do you mean by thickets? It means it means a group of small bushes and trees, jhadiyan. Okay, so the leopard jumped into that into the group of bushes and trees, so as to he found that it found that it was quite in danger because because the narrator was very much strange to the leopard. Yes, I had disturbed the animal in its quest for food. What do you mean by quest? Quest means search of something. Okay, quest of knowledge. Okay, search of knowledge. Okay, so I had disturbed the animal. Now the narrator is thinking in his own mindset. He is thinking that he himself has done something wrong. The leopard was searching for its prey. Okay, so he might have disturbed the leopard in his hunting for its prey. But a little later, I heard the quickening cry of a barking deer as it fled through the forest. The hunt was still on. Now, what happens next? The narrator listened to a strange sound, and it was the sound of that barking deer, and it was in fact the crying sound. It was a sound which was creating pity for the animal, okay, for the barking deer. So the narrator thought that yes, the leopard might have searched its prey and might have killed it, okay, so as to have it as its food. Okay, the leopard, like other members of the cat family, is nearly extinction in India, and I was surprised to find one so close to Missouri. Now you must be remembering that in the previous lecture I told you the story has been set up in the forest of Missouri. Yes, so now what the narrator is saying in these lines, he is saying that the leopard, which is also considered as a member of cat family, it resembles the cat. Why? It has short legs but strong ones, as the cat has short ears. Okay, so we generally consider leopard as a member of a cat family. Alright, so the narrator is saying that the leopards are on the verge of extinction, on the border of extinction. What do you mean by extinction? It means depleting in number, okay, decreasing in number. The narrator is saying that although I think that the leopard is on the verge of extinction, that their number is decreasing day by day, so how come a leopard can be seen in this area, okay, as the number of leopard population is decreasing day by day in India. So the narrator was quite surprised on the sight of the leopard. Alright. Probably the deforestation that had been taking place in the surrounding hills had driven the deer into this green valley. Now what the narrator is saying, so he was just thinking that why this leopard was seen here, what might be the reason behind it. Then he started thinking that it might have become possible because large scale of deforestation is going on in the nearby area. Okay, the what the area, what type of area was that? It was a quite hilly area. Yes, so the narrator is saying that deforestation. What do you mean by deforestation? It means a practice of or act of cutting down of trees in a very large area. So deforestation, okay, remember it. Deforestation means cutting down of trees in a large area. It is that practice or that act. Okay, so the narrator here is saying that it might have become possible that this leopard have just transferred from the nearby area where deforestation is going on at a large scale. Yes, the cutting down of trees was taking place in the nearby area. So the leopard might have shifted in this forest. Okay. What next? It was some weeks before I saw the leopard again, although I was often made aware of its presence. Now what the narrator is saying, that many days passed, okay, but he didn't see the leopard again. Then suddenly one day, after many weeks, one day what happened? The narrator sensed its presence, okay. The narrator was thinking that that the leopard was somewhere near about him. All right. At times I felt certain that I was being followed. Now what the narrator is saying, that at times, what do you mean by at times? At times means sometimes. Sometimes the narrator has sensed that somebody was chasing him, okay, somebody was following him, somebody was behind him, okay. And who was that somebody? It was the leopard, okay. Once when I was getting home, I saw two bright eyes staring at me from a thicket. Now what the narrator is saying, one day he was quite late while returning to his home, okay. So what did he see then? At that time he saw that two bright eyes were glittering or brightening in the dark forested area, all right, in the dark area near his house, okay. And it was in the bushes, okay, in the group of bushes and trees, that means thickets, okay. So I stood still, my heart banging away against my ribs. Now the narrator is saying that yes, on the sight of these two brightening eyes, the narrator got very much frightened, okay. His heart started beating very fastly. What do you mean by banging away? Bang away means to hit something repeatedly. So his heart started beating very fastly, All right, his heart started hitting against his ribs. Okay, this is the literal meaning. So what happens next? I stood still, my heart banging away against my ribs. Then the eyes danced away and I realized they were only fireflies. Then what happened next? The two brightening eyes, they were looking like they were dancing. Okay, they were dancing. And what happened? Then the narrator realized that they were only fireflies. What do you mean by firefly? It is a kind of glowworm. Okay, jugnu we call it in Hindi. All right. So the narrator found that it was a firefly. In May and June, when the hills were brown and dry, it was always cool and green near the stream where ferns and long grasses continued to thrive. Now what the narrator says, that it was the period of summer. Okay, what happens in May and June? You all must be aware of the fact that in summer the sun is quite overhead. Okay, sun rays are very vertical over our heads in the months of May and June in the northern region, northern area of India. Okay, and where does the Mussoorie lie? It lies in the northern portion of India. Okay, so the narrator is saying, in May and June, when the hills were brown and dry, in May and June, as it was the summer time, and the scorching heat of the sun was making the hills look like quite dull and dry. All right, it was cool and green near the stream where ferns and long grasses continued to thrive. Now everybody knows that greenery, where does one find greenery? Okay, it must be near in a humid area, or where there is ample of water available, where there is a good amount of availability of water. Now we all know that there was a stream flowing nearby in that forested area. Yes, so what the narrator is saying, that there was greenery near that stream. There were different kinds of ferns, there were green plants, there were flowers, there were green plants, there were different kinds of hedges were there. All right. So one day I found the remains of a barking deer that had been partially eaten. What do you mean by partially? Partially means not completely, half. Okay. Now what happens next? The narrator found something lying on the ground in the forest. What did he find? He found that it was the remains of the carcass of a barking deer. What do you mean by carcass? As I told you in the previous lecture, it means the dead body of an animal. Carcass means animal. Okay, so what the narrator is saying here, that I wondered why the leopard had not. Now the narrator says that he was very much surprised on seeing the remains of the dead body of the barking deer, that why probably he had not been disturbed while eating. Now he was quite perplexed, he was quite confused, he was very much surprised on seeing the remains of the dead body of the barking deer, which was the prey of the leopard. Okay, so he thought that why these remains are lying on the ground, why the leopard had not just put them away for its further meal, why it has happened. So he was quite confused, surprised. Okay, so climbing the hill, I met a party of hunters resting beneath the oaks. Now what happens next? The narrator is moving down the hill, after climbing the hill, whom the narrator met. He met a party of hunters there. Okay, some people were sitting behind the some people were sitting beneath the oak tree. Okay, they were sitting under the oak tree, and who were they? They were the hunters. Okay, they asked me if I had seen a leopard. Now those hunters were in search of, in quest of, we can say in quest of, in search of that leopard for hunting. Okay, so that's why they asked the narrator if he had seen that leopard in the forest. Now what happens next? They said they knew there was a leopard in the forest. Now although they asked the narrator, but simultaneously, side by side, what did they say? They say that they are pretty sure that there is a leopard in this forest. Okay, so this was the today's lecture. We will be continuing with the rest of the chapter in the next videos. Okay, so this is the story. You have to listen or watch these videos in continuation. For example, first part you have to see the first part first, and the second and third, and so on. Then only you will be able to just memorize, or you will be able to catch the point. Okay, so that's all. Thank you so much, and yes, keep working hard. Take care of yourselves. Thank you.